Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9.11. And wait, what? I thought Barbarossa had already started. Yeah, it had. Which I'm planning on showing the other episodes first. Just a little backstory behind it. Having strange bug with Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 4, so the live stream was not going to be able to go forward with that Black Ice, so I wanted to play something different. And although there was a couple of, or one or so vote for going back to playing more Kaiserreich, another one wanted to play War in the East, but most people, when I suggested it, wanted to play Hearts, or so maybe somebody else suggested, I don't know, Hearts of Iron 3. So I jumped into that, and I really love, and I hope all of you who, Saturdays is normally when I'm somewhat scheduled, morning my time. That's in California, so you can try to figure out where you are in the world. Love to have you there. I really love the live stream. It's really great to get to interact with you. Obviously, I'm talking, you're typing, but it's still a small enough crowd. You know, normally less than 20 people, but normally more than 10 once the thing gets going. That I can sort of follow along with the chat and comment on it and back and forth, and we have discussions on things. And you might want to check. Sometimes I'll post the whole live show up. Might want to check that out, because we'll go for half an hour or more just chatting without recording anything that's specifically for YouTube. This sort of in between episodes, as it were. So yeah, I really love that. But I also, you know, it's a live show, want to keep things moving, sort of getting distracted by the chat from playing the game. And I don't know about you, but I'll tell you what, I play differently when I'm not playing for YouTube. So, at all. And I play more meticulously, shall we say, and whatnot, because I do have a sense that I need to keep things flowing. Obviously, we haven't flowed here as I'm talking. So, oh, and I forgot to save at the end of the, just because the chat was distracting me, I forgot to save the game at the end of the last episode. So I was going to have to replay at least one episode, whether on camera or off, that I did. And also heavily because of the date, having the events pop up, I sort of thought, well, let's just sort of replay it all over again here, and not just that. So that's why I'm playing this now. Probably very likely going to put this up as well as the live version. It's going to be basically the same thing, though not exactly. I'll be going down to it. And I had another commenter comment on a recent thing. What? Now I've got to 80 episodes and we're just starting Barbarossa. What, are you not going to finish the game? Well, I'm really worried about, and sort of addressed, I did post back to that, but I'll address that comment as well. I'm really worried about this Barbarossa. This is the one I'm most worried about that I can remember, not just for the chat, that I'll be able to be successful. I plan on finishing this. What I don't know is that if this is going to be finished in victory or not. And if there's interest in watching this, man, I want to keep playing it. But if we end up in a stalemate and viewership goes down, I don't know, you know, oh, but there's still 10 people watching. Well, yeah, I don't know that we're going to continue that. But if things are, you know, relatively good, relatively like now, hey, I'm going to complete this one way or another. You know, I mean, if the Soviet Union drives into Berlin, or if the Allies drive into Berlin, that'd make a great series. You know, it really would, quite honestly, if I'm trying my hardest to win. So I guess that's enough talk for this. Let's get going. So I'm going to sort of delay Barbarossa by a couple, 3 days from originally. Sort of let the June 2nd start of the month go by with all of the events that are sort of stacked up waiting to go happen. So doing that, and that's part of what I'm really worried about, because we're going to be in June starting. That's late. That's another big, then I think I'm going to be hit by the winter. Yes, we have the control over the Mediterranean jungle unit training. Let's check and see where we are. I forget. I know we just had that. Okay, 44. That means stop that. Well, I'm just not building a lot of capital ships, so I haven't been upgrading most of that. Let's do this, improve performance on some of our ships. So, because I guess to a point everything is dependent on viewership levels. I was watching something posted by Benjamin Magnus the other day, and he says, well, I guess people aren't really wanting to watch me play Battletech, which I have not played. I played a long time ago. I mean a long time ago. One Battletech that was at an arcade that you actually sat in a sort of booth and played against other players, like, I don't know, 6 or 12 on a side. But I haven't played any, obviously not the recent one. But I haven't, so I haven't played that. But he was getting very low viewer numbers, but he was having fun with it. So he just said, hey, I can just play this on my own. And so, yes, everything to a point is dependent on a certain level of popularity. Like any aircraft arm. Okay, we are shifting some forces around. Okay, they just got here. Send some merchant. Nope, they're still heading here. Now, no, not those. Thought I had a big stack of these, I guess maybe is fun. No. I want to grab those guys. Yeah, you need to rebuild. The coastal battleships. Where are my... These guys are up here. Okay, they had been stacked with a bunch of here, these are, got these guys. Okay. Now, I want you to come to... Well, stop that. Come to here, pick up these light infantry, and then you'll pick up a few more on the way. 2 more divisions. You guys just keep marching into there. Okay, well, won that again, and amphibious unit training. Yeah, we'll let that one continue. the reason I move these guys here is because there will be a pop-up of scripted Soviet border guards that'll come there, and I want to, let's move you there to just even out our defenses a little bit. Okay, the next day we'll have lots and lots of events. Start up, maybe not as many as last time because we'd already started Barbarossa. I want to get through these first. Oh, these guys, I keep forgetting about them. Well, that should be going north for Barbarossa. Let's send a Flieger headquarters, see if they can take this out. I am really feeling the strain, guys. Coal regional reserves raided by locals, lose 1,000 energy, okay. Himmler demands a panzer force. With the success of the Wehrmacht panzer formation, Himmler has realized the strategic and propaganda of having a panzer forces, okay. SS Panzer Corps. Now, it's scripted to give. How's the command of it? Oh, yes, I know there's going to be a lot, and even more a lot. Who do we want to give? Oh, we'll give it to Steiner for the moment. That's good. I have so many more HQs than I know what to do with. Part of that is putting 5 divisions normally. This obviously here's with 3 under a core HQ, where standard is mostly 3. That's just sort of the generic. And that's 3 is often really the most people can deal with. That's why a lot of platoons are made up of 3 squads. Companies are generally made up of 3 platoons with maybe a 4th that's like a support platoon, which is that's where you put the mortars and the heavy machine guns or whatever, but they're not they're a supporting element. They're not a front line. So that's normally how it is. And so one corps commander can deal best with 3 divisions commanding their interactions. Well, it's just because of maximizing both the experience as well as maximizing the command value is why I'm doing what I'm doing here. Yes, we want some metal. Deploy the 13th Flak Division was formed in 1942 in France and assigned to protect the aerial advances to Paris. Okay, I guess path into Paris. Flak Division itself consisted of a divisional staff, signal company, a small number of supply units, and therefore cannot be compared to regular Wehrmacht divisions. It was mainly a coordination HQ for various rapidly changing composition of flak regiments, battalions, and other units based on the actual situation in the operational area of responsibility. See, that's also the situation with a lot of Germany used artillery divisions. Rarely do they look like a just, and I think we do sort of have a big stack, maybe down here, of artillery that I have yet to sort of properly use. It rarely sort of looked like this in any sort of combat. It just, they would shift, whether at corps or at army level, they would shift the artillery around to where it would do the most good. Supporting other divisions, so basically attaching it to other divisions is what they would be doing, and that's often the situation. Besides the defensive role of flak units to protect their air bases, ground organization, the importance of the flak units. Okay, so we lose 1 gun in Paris, and we get a division. We'll take that, and we'll take these because these are maybe going to be ending up being sort of light divisions. well, he's here. Let's put a person in charge of it. And okay, another one in Paris. This one in Berlin, okay. We'll send you east. Seeberg Tschitz for our night fighter coordination. Seeberg plotting table was used to guide and allocate the night fighters against Allied bomber formations during the strategic air campaigns against Germany. So, looks like a glass top table that they probably use grease markers on. Okay, cool. Famug, Famug, I don't know. 42 Westermann. Westermann radar, long range, height finding radar built by Germany. Okay. This is a development of Freya, operated during World War II for long-range detection. This device for ground-based operations was developed in 1942. Westermann was based on a largely unchanged Freya electronics, but used an entirely new antenna array in order to improve range and bearing precision. All right, so I'm going to move away from that so you can see. So new radar towers, supplies, radar gain. Okay. Schreer Panzer Abteilung. Oh, I gotta look. I keep forgetting to dig out. There's one that's not seeming to fire that should have fired before now for TRE. Yeah, you're gonna go to the east. I don't know why it isn't firing. Could be just some little bug in it. This is the 500th Panzer Abteilung is what's supposed to be before the 501st and 502nd. Second, it was sort of an early training element formation. Okay, pause. Thinking of that. Okay, yeah. Oh well, yes. Okay. We're going to do that. Okay, we're waiting for these guys to show up. They're going to be reinforcement. Come on. In the east. Hopefully we can get most of them on board there. Supplies for Crete. Not at this time. Supplies for Athens. Go ahead. Agricultural industry. Yes. Lose some money. Gain manpower. We want that. General von Klinkerhoffen. This is from the Hello TV series, mod, whatnot. Major General von Klinkerhoffen commands the province's garrison forces. He is a very strict enforcer of German occupation. He is willing to have French peasants shot when anything goes wrong. It's obviously him with Gruber and von Storm, whatever. And so now we have there, von Storm. We'll attach to the new Vion garrison. Still waiting. Ah, come on. And yes, it would be better to put all these into one unit for combat purposes, but I wanted to give each guy his command. New industry, no. Save our money. New Panzer Corps after the Battle of Dunkirk. Was renamed Group A, Good Guardian. This what should have been done a long time ago. I know, German 1942. Okay, not going to remove anything, but so we'll take it. You're in the east. Well, maybe we'll leave it here and coordinate up some of our stuff in the west. From the 14th. Norwegian. Okay, great. Let's. Okay, they're way down here. Okay. Cool. 503rd. Sure, we want that. And because they have yellow, it looks like they'll quite possibly be upgrading later. And the 501st. Take that as well. These are good units. Not super well balanced, but at least have some infantry support. Okay. Oh, we want to lock you down. Yeah, that's a good amount, about double from what. Yeah. Okay, now. These guys are all coming to here. They're going to be invading across the Soviet frontier there. Okay, we need to now. Oh boy, don't know if I can find everything now. Okay, checking each one of these. See, this guy needs a transport unit. Okay, because I put some units together specifically for assaulting Malta and later Gibraltar. So let's see here. That was, I think, this Lick division. Okay. We'll leave the commandos. Take out the assault. Oh no. There. Oh, did it again. This one. There. That's what we want. Okay, and they don't need much transport. Yeah, I think some of the other units ended up some other places. Yeah, these guys need transport. What is their movement rate? 4. Yeah, they're gonna be going slow without proper transport. So they should have heavier than a. Oh, they're okay. We'll send them up there. Okay, they'll get there fast. Okay, both of those units need proper transport. Yeah. This is exactly why I also like playing slow and meticulously. I really like chatting with you guys, but doing some of this is good. Okay, 1,000 bomber raid on Essen. As a major industrial center, Essen was a target for Allied bombing. The Royal Air Force, RAF, dropped a total of 36 tons of bombs on the city over 270 air raids were launched against the city, destroying 90% of the center and 60% of the suburbs. I should learn how to read if I'm doing this for a profession. On the 2nd of June 1942, the so-called 1,000 bomber raid hit heavily its targets in Essen. Okay, I know I mentioned this earlier before, and we've talked about this, and I will admit that Bomber Harris and crew had a certain amount of a revenge motive, just against Germany. And please, viewers, note, I try to use my language very precisely. I know some of you who English is maybe as a second language actually have better English skills than I do, but others may not have it as well either. And then, of course, there's a lot of you American viewers, not all, but a lot of you American viewers who have very, very little English skills. Yes. And it's partially a joke, partially not. I'm not, no other language skills either other than English, but I try to use my language precisely. Meaning sometimes I'm talking about Russia, and that could be often the geographical location. Where if I'm talking about the Soviet Union, I'm talking about the country. Now they both may be the same place, but I try to use my language precisely. So against Germany, which it doesn't necessarily mean against the Nazis, it just means against Germany, because Germany voted in the Nazis. So Bomber Harris and crew did have a revenge motive. But there is also, no matter what you want to think of Bomber Harris, Curtis LeMay, and others, they cared about the lives of their people more than they cared about other lives out in the world. And so I will say, without knowing the people in precise or at all, not read any books by them, but I am sure they cared about the first, shall we say, outside of family and whatnot, people under their command, they cared about most, that they were responsible for. Then they cared about the people of their nation, and then maybe the allies of their nation. And then they may have cared about just other people out in the world, somewhere in the world, and then they cared about the least about the people that were actively fighting them. So, if they could save a few more British lives, somebody like these bomber pilots or Bomber Harris or somebody else would be very willing to kill very large batches of Germans because Germany was at war with them. So the value of an English life to an Englishman is higher than a German who is fighting them. And of course, people like Bomber Harris would want to kill all of the Nazis. Again, that's why I'm using the language precisely. Those that are he sees most responsible for the war. Actively want to kill them, as opposed to just, hey, you'd rather kill some others to save some of his people. Now, bombing raids, nighttime, daytime, and other bombing raids, because this is the 270 were both day and night during the war. Trust me, the Allies would not do that many bombing raids if it was not deemed necessary to shorten the war. Okay? Whether they would have pulled off 1,000 bomber raid just for the fun of it, maybe say for the fun of it, just to sort of impress the enemy that here's 1,000 bombers. We can do this. Just to do 1,000 bombers as a number to overwhelm, to show that we can do it. That they might just do that just to do that precise thing, but to keep doing it, they thought it was necessary for the war effort because they were taking losses and trying to get all this done. So, is the bombing raid justifiable? Absolutely. It's justifiable because you are trying to shorten the war, end the war, and ultimately kill the fewest people possible. And people can evacuate the cities. Now, they'll move the bombing if you also evacuate the production facilities to somewhere else. They will move it to a new location, the bombing. So, but if you just move the populace, with, obviously the workers go where the factories are, but everybody else, they're not going to, bomb the countryside just to do it. So, and I do know that Germany is often the highest viewership, particularly for this series. So I'm talking to Germans here, that at least most of the people alive today, that are at least watching this, are post-war generations. But so your family and whatnot, we're talking about being bombed. Well, you got to also look at, now my family, all of my family by this time was in California, the civilian side of it. So I have no personal connections to ever being bombed in California. But in Britain, they had been bombed and all of this stuff. And so can you justify mass bombings? Absolutely, because it's going to work to shorten the war. And if they could have done precise, modern, precision bombing, trust me, they would have done so. It was just the lack of precision, and that's what it needs. So I fully, I'm not saying I fully support any particular bombing or any particular tactic or any particular detail, but the overall campaign, oh yes, I support it. Now, was it a success or a failure? I would say it was a success on several levels. Production goes up under Speer. We've talked about that a lot. But I think it would have gone up much higher. Thank you. Maybe that was a German viewer getting upset. Production, I think, would have gone up much higher without the bombing. So it was a success. Now, it was also very costly. So did it... Well, because it also forced Germany, we just saw the table for managing night fighters, it forces Germany to shift its air power from the fronts to the homeland. So that's also very important. So I would say it's a success. So we're now, again, revolverheld, I haven't seen him posting around in a while. I'm sure he'll be back. Probably just life is busy for him. Gain 2 in descent, yeah. I can argue about descent levels for for bombing, in that there was a fair amount of descent, but you see in other places often it gains support for the government, so long as the people believe the government are doing the best that can be done. Not so much maybe the best they can do, but that there is nobody else can do better, and they're making the best decisions possible. I think losing all of my industrial capacity in Essen is a bit much if there. So, and I don't know if there's a way to mitigate that. I gotcha, revolverheld, that you're trying to show the strategic war going on, and so you could theoretically, though of course I've been advised it's better not to just have pure informational events, and the AI doesn't do it so well. I sort of get all that, but I think that's a bit harsh without good ways to mitigate the events. Okay. The fun. Paris. The occupation of France was, for many German soldiers, the best option to endure the war, even more so after the horrors of the first Russian winter and the prospects of a protracted war. Maybe they should start to grow soft. And of course, topless French dancing girls. And yes, I've collected that photo and many others, including a bunch of color photos dealing with German occupation in Paris. And I want to someday, probably end up being for Hearts of Iron 4, do a whole sort of long event chain dealing with just Paris. Not just the nightlife of Paris, but just German occupation in Paris. Okay, so this is, we are getting land organization and reinforcement bonus down. 5%, that's big, okay. Atlantic Wall, Denmark section. Now, we've talked before about how I've changed things. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have cheated in 10,000 money here for me. That's because we saw a bunch of events that I disputed, and either I got to go in and mod all those events. I disputed the use of the money, and because it's used for multiple things. So we can do light, medium, heavy, or impregnable. As you can see, I have modded this here to being very little money. Money is still checked, but not on the level before. But now we have a real cost that is a cost not in relation to trade, but one into production. I think especially the last two are sort of stupid expensive, if you know what I mean. Not that they're not effective, but just I sort of upped them and made them super expensive. We did see the one recent invasion, though it was in not really in Denmark, it was in Lech, but we're going to go with light defenses, and they show up in Lech. Okay, so we have some defenses now defending Denmark, because I suspect, at least from what quickly looking at the code, we won't be seeing any major D-Day invasions there, but we might be seeing more of revolver-held small invasions. Do we send him east? That's a good division. I think we're going to send him east. I know I need reserves, but I'm really worried about things. So, June 4th. What is delaying my D-Day invasion? That is partially delaying my D-Day invasion, but they'll get there fast. They're moving super fast. They're just fast-moving elements. See, I don't know if you noticed sort of things leading up to this. I get really, especially Barbarossa, get sort of stalling and concerned about things leading up to it. Okay, activate the unit, sure. Yes, it's never had those, but okay. Wehrmacht, yes, we want to expand synthetic gasoline. Just an interesting booklet. Found the photo of the cover of it. Instruction booklet for soldiers and staff personnel of the Air Force traveling from the Reich to Norway or from Norway to the Reich. The last page of the booklet is a map of central Berlin showing how to find the liaison offices for the Luftgau Commando Norwegian. So, like, if you're going to be going north, you can find the office of where you're gonna, where you're gonna need to be. Just sort of an interesting little tidbit about the war. The 13th Flak Brigade. Okay, we'll do that. Manpower and down here. Up here, okay. Well, let's give it a leader. Let's find a one that has AA after it for anti-aircraft. Sure, we'll give it to him. Because I don't think we're going to have a Luftwaffe headquarters up here for you. Let's... We could attach it to that, but we're not. Okay, establish the Reichswehr Eingun Essen. Okay, this is the to increase the management of steel as a single as the single most important resource in the war effort. And this is one thing that really doesn't show up in Hearts of Iron 4 is that steel. I mean, they're okay. Rare materials is, and part of that is rare materials going into steel, but is the biggest bottleneck for Germany is steel. and allocating steel is that, and it doesn't really ever show up. I know we're in the red. I think we've maybe faced some bombing, maybe not. Maybe I've just increased that, and I could increase some of this. It's just not low enough for me to shift production to increase that by making more steel foundries. Okay, so we're going to improve key resources, steel production gain, that, and metal. Oh, well, metal and rare materials, and I see, okay, yes, until the end of the game, or until for some effect it removes it. Okay, we would give them money for rare materials. Decline. It's not going to last long enough with their peace. I want to get those 2 transport units up here. Okay. Now, okay, no, let's do the other. Ooh, I think that was what we did, but opposite. Okay, so this way we're putting the Sonder command back to there. And we're giving that, and I've left Mauer, and I don't like Mauer. Don't like that. I just don't like that photo with the name. I've never been able to find a name in an officer who's in the SS that matches that. No, we'll give it to him because that could be a sort of a fast-moving. Let's see what will be its speed. Not that fast, but commando unit maybe attach it to somebody else at some point. And now these 2. Okay. And attach. There we go. So that way now these guys will move faster. Maybe I should combine all those. I don't know, into a little conf group A. This is the really good von Hippel. He'll be pulled away soon. Another von Hippel around here? Is it signed? There was one that was, yeah, this guy. This is the Hearts of Iron, or Black Ice version of him, and this is my version of him. Obviously, it's a gray or sepia tone version, and it's a grayscale of it. I don't know if I started with that and just went to that. My justification for this is as well. Iron Cross. He had an Iron Cross from World War I. I guess, or sometime, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, but he was, I gave him a trickster because he was the guy that formed the Brandenburgers, was the main sort of responsible guy performing the Brandenburgers, and also gave him commando for that. So those being a trickster and a commando, because the Brandenburgers were pretty good at doing that kind of stuff. And he was also the guy who, after he got kicked out from leading the Brandenburgers, he's the guy that set up the Arab commando unit to fight in North Africa. So I gave him Desert Fox. And he had served with, let's go back, Vorbeck in Tanganyika during World War I. So I gave him Jungle Rat, and because of their being able to fight without, which sort of deals with this, being able to fight without supplies so well. So that's my justification for making him, I wouldn't say too much of an uber, but definitely more than just simply a 0-star whatnot here. So okay, So with that, I think we're going to end this episode because I'm just going to, I guess, start Barbarossa next time. From here, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And of course, I love hearing your comments, so please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.